Welcome to day 83 of our BitClout journey, and it's going to be a pretty exciting day, I think. Yesterday, BitClout hit blockchain.com, and while it didn't, the live trading didn't begin, it allowed people to put limit and stop limit orders in, which kind of lets the market find itself. So people can say what they're willing to pay for BitClout when the market opens, and people can say what they're willing to sell it at, and then the book kind of is going to
You hit like an equilibrium.
Yeah, so like the supply curve and the demand curve meet. So right now, it actually there's enough buy orders to pretty much push the sell orders up to about 160. So the equilibrium right now is $160 about.
That has changed
Though a lot since the trading began, and it could change a lot before live trading opens up. I think it's supposed to be around noon Eastern time today, although there's no confirmation of that. That is what I believe they plan on doing. And I think it's probably healthy to open around this area, like the 160 to 180 area, just because that's what everybody is used to, and then let it gradually make movements. Whether that's going to happen or not, who knows? But last night we saw it at like 295 for a period where the equilibrium was. And that's slowly been creeping down as we get approach the noon Eastern time deadline for live trading, which is what it's supposed to be. Well, the numbers changed from 295 because people pulled back some of their buy orders and people probably added sell orders, and that could still happen in the next 3 hours from when this video was made. So anything could happen. And then just because it's opening at 160 at around noon, that doesn't mean it's not going to fall quickly to 100 or jump quickly to 300. We just don't know. The market's going to have to create itself, and nobody knows. Like people can have ideas, but nobody really knows. But it's exciting. And if you really believe in the platform, you're not really too concerned about the price right now. I know we're not going to be selling any for a very long time because we think that this is really going to be what the future of not only social media is, but perhaps the internet, where you kind of have a decentralized identity that can be run on hundreds of sites possibly. Yeah, I would have to agree there. And so yesterday also, there was this approximately a 6-minute segment on BitClout on CNBC. So, CNBC is like basically the stock channel for people who follow the stock market. And they cover Bitcoin a little bit. It's not too often that they cover Bitcoin, but they do have tickers for Bitcoin. But they very, very rarely, if ever, talk about other cryptocurrencies. So the fact that there's a whole 6-minute segment on BitClout on CNBC, I think it was around 11 a.m. Eastern time, which is pretty much a great time for traders to be watching, is huge. And they talked to Sean McGuire of Sequoia Capital, and he gave some really good information. He answered their questions. And overall, I think that the interview and the segment was like very positive. Like I didn't see any negativity in the interview or the segment as a whole. Yeah, that segment, 6 minutes, that's a huge amount of time. And I have seen CNBC talk about Doge a little bit and Ethereum a little bit. So, I mean, it's not completely out of the realm of, I guess, their show to talk about other cryptos, but a crypto that's this new, that literally launched like 3 months ago and is already making waves like this, is huge. I mean, you had CNBC talk about it. You had one of the most influential people within crypto, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, come on board. You had Chamath Palihapitiya also start posting about it just yesterday. I mean, if you were to go back 3 months and say, hey, in 3 months, CNBC is going to have a 6-minute segment about this, you're going to have two of the biggest names in investing in crypto talking about it. I think people would be maybe surprised. I would be surprised, I think. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Maybe we'll get some more news. I know High Key mentioned that Forbes is going to do a story on them. So it's going to be interesting to see how the media covers this, especially with the listing going into live trading today. Yeah, and I'm really pleasantly surprised at the positivity of both the CNBC segment as well as the article from the New Yorker just about a week ago. And I personally expected all kinds of like criticisms
over buying people's coin and putting a value on people. But I think that if you truly understand the system and how it works, you don't really see it as like as buying people. You see it as amplifying good creators and giving creators a value, whereas before they were basically just getting rid of all their value to the corporations, and the corporations are absorbing all that value.
Yeah, and it was interesting because on CNBC they actually questioned Sean McGuire about how the accounts were moved over from Twitter, and McGuire actually clarified a lot of why they did that. A lot of people were upset that they kind of just took this information from Twitter and created these accounts for celebrities and top influencers. But his explanation was pretty simple, and it made a lot of sense, was that, in the past, when new social media platforms opened up and launched, people immediately jumped and claimed the usernames of these celebrities, knowing that they could pretend to be those celebrities in the future and get all this clout that wasn't there. So the idea was to move the usernames over so that the celebrities could claim their real name. And I think it's really a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, without doing it that way, you'd have all kinds of rampant scamming. You'd have people pretending to be other people. And I think that there really wasn't another option. I can understand some celebrities who maybe dislike the platform or don't want to use the platform being upset, but I do believe that BitClout, the core team, has said that they will remove anybody, any celebrity, any influencer that has had an account put up onto this platform who doesn't want it there. So I don't really see it.
They have.
Yeah, and I don't really see an argument from anybody. I don't think it holds any water. Something else is that BitClout, the core development team, has actually hired a PR firm, I hear, and that they're going to really be ramping up an information campaign and promotion of BitClout. So look for a lot of influencers to come on. I think look for some more celebrities, especially within the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. That's going to be really interesting. And then, of course, whatever happens with the NFT thing, that's going to drive even more people. So it's exciting. There's a lot of excitement to come too.
And I know a lot of celebrities and athletes have been waiting for it to hit an exchange before coming in, because until now it's been play money, it's been monopoly money, and now it's real money. So when you earn on BitClout, you're actually earning real dollars, real money. So I think that's.
I just want to touch on one final thing. I think that a gauge of the excitement was yesterday in Clubhouse. For the first time in probably 2 months, I think we had a room and it was filled with up to 150 people at a time, just all talking about what was going on. And there are multiple rooms on Clubhouse. There was the Nacho Average call, which I went into late last night, and that was packed. It's just a lot of excitement. And I think that things are really going to start picking up from here on out.
Well, it's funny. I woke up and I'm like, there's nothing on Clubhouse talking about the blockchain announcement on BitClout. We have to talk about this. We got to have something. And usually there's a room going on by Thor and Diamond Cheeks, and sponsored by Sunrise Records. But it wasn't open. I think they're only doing that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now. So we decided to open up a room, and we actually titled it to Dear Bitcoin Maximalists, BitClout is legit. Because if you might recall back, I'd say it's about 2 months ago, there was a big room where a bunch of Bitcoin maximalists were just tearing BitClout apart. And many of the BitClout OGs on Clubhouse were in that room debating them. And we didn't have an argument, because their argument was, you can't take your money out. You really couldn't take your money out at the time. It wasn't open source, so who knows what's in the code? It wasn't open source at the time. We didn't know what was in the code. But now all of that has changed, and now you can get your money out. It is completely open source. So I invited Bitcoin maximalists to come in and debate again, and tell us why BitClout isn't going to work, because why BitClout's a scam, because that was their argument before, that BitClout was a scam. And only one person over, I think it was 5 hours we held the room, came in to debate us. And really it was a good debate, and we kind of showed that most of his talking points were moot. His main concern was why are you using a whole new cryptocurrency, BitClout? Why couldn't you use Bitcoin? And that's really an argument that Bitcoin.
A side chain of Bitcoin. He argued that we should be using a side chain of Bitcoin and then using the Bitcoin currency as the currency instead of clout.
Which doesn't really make sense if you're trying to create this whole new ecosystem that's separate from everything else. Why tie it to Bitcoin? Why not create a complete ecosystem that is internal and everything's all incorporating, like everything's all encompassing, rather than have Bitcoin have some influence on it? Why allow the price of Bitcoin to influence it?
His argument was basically like, why are you going to use a whole new shitcoin if you have Bitcoin, which is almost perfect? Like, why couldn't you use that? So, I mean, that's a Bitcoin maximalist way of thinking, is that Bitcoin is nearly perfect. So why are you going to use anything else? But without having new cryptos and new ideas, you're not going to have innovation, and innovation is what's going to drive the future of Bitcoin and other cryptos. So Bitcoin, in my mind, relies on these other projects. These other projects are actually going to push Bitcoin forward. So I think that people that are excited about Bitcoin should also be excited about all these other projects, because it's bringing people to crypto. It's utilizing the blockchain in a way that was never utilized like this before. So it's awesome for Bitcoin, and it's awesome for BitClout.
Well, the thing is, say you're an outsider and you love the idea of BitClout and you want to invest in BitClout, but you don't really want to get involved with creator coins. There's only one way you can do that, and that is by buying BitClout, the cryptocurrency. If it was all based on a sidechain of Bitcoin, you couldn't invest into BitClout. You'd just be buying Bitcoin, and that has doesn't have anything to do with BitClout. So I think that's one of the main reasons why we need the BitClout cryptocurrency. So people who just aren't into social media, people who don't want to be buying creator coins, they can still invest in this idea of decentralized social media by just buying BitClout.
Exactly. It makes the whole platform and blockchain investment vehicle in itself, because you can invest in the idea of this, rather than if you bought just Bitcoin and they were using a Bitcoin sidechain, you're not investing in BitClout, you're not investing in the idea. So I think that it's important that they separated themselves.
All right, well, I think that's a good place to leave off. We're excited to see what happens to the price of BitClout today on blockchain.com. We're going to be keeping our eyes open. I'm sure everybody watching this probably will be too. And we will come back at you tomorrow. Thanks again.